Greetings, comrades. In this video, we just want to draw parallels between the 1995 amnesty offered to nationalities from the SADC region and the 2010 amnesty issued to Zimbabwean nationals in South Africa. After freedom of 1994, which we call the democratic breakthrough, the South African government offered an amnesty mainly to minors that had come from the rest of the SADC region to work in South Africa. You will know that the apartheid regime was recruiting mine workers from the rest of the region. Some, of course, had gone back to their countries of origin. We have spoken in this video about Wenela, but others remained from Zimbabwe, from Mozambique, from Lesotho, and other countries within the region. They were offered the amnesty in 1995. Also, this amnesty was extended or offered to those that have been in South Africa for at least 5 years, who had acquired the South African documents. In our previous videos, we did discuss how the migrants survived in South Africa, the documents that they had to use for them to remain in the Republic. So most of them had acquired fraudulent South African IDs. So the 1995 amnesty was that a person who was caught with a South African ID which was obtained fraudulently would not be prosecuted. This person was asked to surrender back the ID and be granted a permanent residence. In other words, what is popularly known as the Mandela ID. So the 1995 amnesty had no provision for a permit, but those that responded to that amnesty where South African IDs were then issued with the permanent residence permit. In 2010, another amnesty was granted, but now specifically for Zimbabweans. In the previous video, we've dealt with the Angolians. We will, in the next video, deal with Mozambique. But as I'm saying, in 2010, an amnesty then was granted to Zimbabwean nationals in South Africa. There seems to be some different understanding on interpretation on how the amnesty came about. But what we understood and what was very clear was that amnesty was offered to those Zimbabweans that had acquired fraudulently authentic South African documents. And I hope this is clear. Fraudulently in that a person misrepresented themselves that they were born in South Africa. Authentic in that the person was registered in the population register of South Africa. And the reasons for doing so, it was after, as we said, I think sometime last year, that there were serious issues internationally in terms of the South African security during the War of Terror, that any person can come to South Africa and acquire a traveling document. You remember the white woman in Uganda who had used the South African document. So the United Nations Security Council was concerned about this, what they considered to be a lapse of security. You will also remember that Zimbabweans and others that were traveling to the UK in those early years, they will travel on a South African passport. Mid-air, the passport will disappear. When they landed at Heathrow Airport, they will not have anything on them and they will ask for asylum. But when the authorities will check back, the person would have used the passport to board a plane at OR International. So then the amnesty said a person that had acquired fraudulently a South African ID, just like in the 1995 Amnesty, was not going to be prosecuted. So if you come forward, you surrender your South African ID, which you have obtained fraudulently, you would not be prosecuted. This was then extended to those that had asylum documents, Section 22. We have discussed also that a person who was on Section 22 or a holder of asylum document, come holidays, they will be traveling to Zimbabwe with the asylum document in their pockets. That created serious problems. So they were also granted amnesty to say, you are not a political victim but an economic migrant. Therefore, surrender your asylum document. As opposed to the 1995 amnesty, where the amnesty then offered a permanent residence to those that came forward. The 2010 offered a permit. So that's the difference. The Documentation Zimbabwe Project 2010, which we've spoken about in a number of videos. Then in the last group, that was covered by the 2010 amnesty, which the 1995 amnesty did not cover, were those Zimbabweans that were in South Africa undocumented. In 1995, it was only those that had acquired South African IDs and the minors. And it did not talk about those that were not documented. And it was clear in 1995 that one needed to have been in the country for about 5 years. But in 2010, even if you had arrived in the morning in South Africa, during the period of applying for permits, you could simply walk to any Home Affairs and apply for a permit as long as you had a valid passport. That was the amnesty in 2010. So we thought it's necessary that we draw these parallels, that it is not the first time that Zimbabweans have benefited from the amnesty in South Africa. They benefited as a collective because Zimbabwe is a member of the SADC. They then benefited on their own in 2010. You might have been around the 1995 amnesty and you might have been a beneficiary. Please share your views with us on what you understand to be the difference between the 2010 amnesty and the 1995-96 amnesty where you benefited. Please share your views in the comment section, like this video, circulate, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, have a great day. Goodbye.